Hello, dear friends. I spend every day looking for confidential information with a magnifying glass and find almost nothing. And now it has all suddenly arrived to saturate me. I have summarized it and divided it into chapters. Opinion piece. Broken promises. From words to deeds. Threats thwarted. A miracle has happened. We have to be close. General Berger resigns. As head of White Hats. The White House laid up in green. Faith is the certainty of what is hoped for. Let's start. It is said that everyone planned their life in advance. I can't believe how many pre-planned to be dumber than a Hoover down here. The forces of light should take into account the state of suffering of the population and take more risks, be more active on the surface. It is not our job to wake up the impossible sheep, but to wake up other lions who can fight for their freedom. I need everyone to tell better news right now. Stop jumping to false conclusions. If bad people can invent bad news, we can create good news. I don't accept the nonsense timetables people have been saying lately about taking months or even years for heaven's promises to be fulfilled. As I understand it, less than 1% of the world's population is aware of the currency revaluation. It will not affect inflation because it eliminates debt. Scripture says that faith is the assurance of things hoped for. The wheels of justice are turning slowly because things in the palace go slowly, but they are turning and things continue to develop. It is a popular saying that refers to the paradox that what is promised does not correspond to the action or path that the individual must follow or fulfill in order to achieve his or her objective or what is offered. In English, the expressions "it is easier said than done" or "actions speak louder than words" are used in the same sense. An election promise is a promise made to the public by a politician who is trying to win an election. Once elected, the politician breaks them because election promises to them are nothing more than an advertising campaign that doesn't have to reflect the truth of their intentions. Things not fulfilled. Here is a reminder to those who say that the bad guys are winning. Earlier this year, it was threatened that a UN World Ministry would be established in May over the sovereignty of each country, but the threat was not carried out. In the middle of the year, it was threatened that a dirty bomb would be detonated in Ukraine, but fortunately, this threat was not carried out either. It was also threatened that an airborne division would invade Belarus, but that threat was not carried out either. A Chinese invasion on Taiwan was threatened. It has not been carried out so far. It seems to me that many of these threats have not been carried out. There are threats of central banking digital currencies, and that remains to be seen. The currency of the bad guys is meant to control the innocent and protect the guilty, and the currency of the good guys is meant to protect the innocent and guard the thieves. The latest threat from the G20 would be a mandatory digital passport that would restrict freedom of travel. Let us hope it doesn't come to pass. I remember years ago, before Obama's election, some messages said he was a highly evolved galactic being who was going to save humankind. Where are these messages? From heaven or from a three-letter agency? No comment. Resignation. General Berger resigns as White Hat chief, according to Michael Baxter. Tension between Donald Trump and Marine Corps General David H. Berger has caused the latter to resign from this post as Commander-in-Chief of the White Hat Division, a source told Real Raw News on Thursday afternoon at the General's office. General Berger, who led the White Hats for 2 years and orchestrated several arrests on that side, made his decision before a brief phone conversation with Donald Trump. The general told him he appreciated his confidence, but that he could no longer lead the coalition effectively because he felt out of the loop and in the dark, in quotes. Berger told Trump, "If you don't share his moves, you will jeopardize my position. I have taken an important oath and I have kept it. Your reluctance to keep me in the loop on what you plan to do has undermined my position." Close quotes. Trump told him that if he had no faith in the plan, then perhaps it was time to let someone else take over. Someone who could do this job without questioning Trump's motives and methods. General Berger agreed. He said he would stay on as an advisor and not as an engineer. He told Trump that both Marine General Eric M. Smith and Army General Marcus Evans were equally capable of filling his shoes. Trump asked General Berger to choose wisely. Censorship. The European Union threatened to sanction Twitter's new owner Elon Musk for allegedly violating media freedom rights. Twitter's archives are waking people up. Twitter reaches a much wider audience than mainstream media. New Twitter files reveal its ties to the FBI. Elon Musk on Friday might share a sixth batch of documents about censorship on the social network. New documents reveal how government used a secret Twitter portal to censor dissenting content that contradicted the official narrative in violation of the First Amendment. Elon Musk called it extremely troubling, in quotes. A group of 40 House Democrats, led by Republican David, not Republican, it's Democrat, led by David Cicilline, introduced a bill Thursday to bar Donald Trump for holding federal office in the future under the 14th Amendment. Summary of Donald Trump's December 15, 2022 announcement, in which he reveals his plans to fight for free speech as if his inauguration were right now. In quotes, all the following. If we don't have free speech, then we simply don't have a free country. It is as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and freedoms will topple like dominoes, one by one, and fall. That is why today I am announcing my plan to end the censorship regime and to reclaim the right to freedom of expression for all citizens. And reclaim is a very important word in this case, because it has been taken away. In recent weeks, explosive reports have confirmed that the group has conspired to manipulate and silence the people. They have collaborated to suppress vital information about everything. The censorship cartel must be dismantled, and it must happen immediately. The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for the survival of Western civilization itself. Reset News. Power shift on Saturday, 17th December. I have a feeling these next few days are going to be a real shock to the underworld agenda. Today's decree: the earth is free, Amen. Jesus through John Smallman. The collective humankind awakening is almost upon you. It will not be delayed. Now is the time for this magnificent event to come to fruition, and it will come to fruition. It is time to stop and refocus, reflect, redirect and realize, and overcome any confusion, lack of purpose or direction, and mesh and manifest the higher frequencies and visualize the golden timeline of greater good and abundance in the building of our reborn 5D heaven on earth. All currencies are trading upwards on the back screens of the banks. A further increase in Iraqi dinar exchange rates is announced, and the reasons why. Dow Jones plunges 900 points after Fed rate hike announcement. The plunge would be sudden as the global financial system begins to break down. Rate hikes lead to financial crashes. The Biden administration sues Arizona over the creation of a container border wall to stop illegal migration. The White House was lit up green on the night of 15th December. Does that mean green light? The fences around Washington, D.C. were there to hold prisoners and prevent those who had escaped into the tunnels from having a chance to flee. The National Archives releases new facts about the 1963 JFK assassination. On Thursday, December 15th, there were more than 550 military aircraft with transponders flying over the US and Europe. Even more had turned off their transponders. Germany had run out of ammunition and could only fight the war for 2 days. According to Juan Osabin, Justice Thomas has a great security detail. He took his wife out to dinner and became very ill. He thinks he was poisoned. Donald Trump became very ill, and there was talk that he was hit with a very complex 3-part poison. The person who was his first taster had to retire because he didn't recover. These people are in danger all the way to the top. Angelina Jolie resigns from her role as UN Special Envoy for Refugees. Why do some mosquitoes have numbers stamped on them? Fluoridated water is banned in almost every country in the world because of its neurological damage. ED News. Chimera Group dismantling continues. According to Cobra, in early December, the forces of light began clearing the last massive pit that stretched beneath Washington, D.C. in a spider-like formation that roughly followed the underground system. They have succeeded in clearing the vast majority of the pit, including the cloning facility for politicians, the facility under the Pentagon. The only part of the pit that remains now is the facility with the regressive quantum mainframe computer. According to the Alpha Omega Revelatory, the alleged asteroid Oumuamua would actually be an Antares observation post. Antares is near the top of the 2,500 planets that have a three-dimensional outer population on their surface. Earth is at the 10% point of abysmal conditions, but is the first to officially return to full fifth-dimensional functionality in the post-Luciferian rebellion cleansing. Antarians were given official permission to monitor the changes taking place on Earth, as the same will apply to them in the future. Russia will create a new plasma engine to be used in deep space missions. The famous contactee Josh Adamski had a vision of establishing a community based on universal laws. With some of his students, From Laguna Beach, he and Mary moved in with the best of these students to form a colony at the base of Mount Palomar, where the largest telescope in the world at the time, a 200-inch reflector, was located. As Adamski was well informed about the theosophical teachings of the gurus and teachers of the Far East, he came to recognize that some of them were in telepathic contact with advanced beings from other planets. The great Hindu mystic Paramahansa Yogananda was always a constant inspiration to Adamski. After being inspired to move from India to the USA, Yogananda established his Self-Realization Fellowship in Los Angeles in 1917 and preached in his commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita that he knew there was life on other planets. According to Joseph Selby, a prominent disciple of Yogananda, the enlightened guru revealed that souls continue to reincarnate on Earth until they attain liberation, and also incarnate on other planets. Selby also noted that Yogananda often said that visitors can be found in many different planetary environments, and even in other dimensions of time and space, and that not all maintain a recognizable humankind appearance, in his view. And that's all but for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.